So here are my rankings of the 14 positions on an NFL football team. Ranking of need position-wise, and here they are. I'll rip through it, and then we'll discuss amongst ourselves. Number 14, kicker. Daniel Carlson, best kicker in football. Shove it, Justin Tucker. 13, punter. A.J. Cole, two-time Pro Bowler. Boots it. He's got the power, and he can put it inside the 5 consistently. Best kicking duo in football. No need to move there. 12, wide receiver. You have Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, and Jacoby Myers as your 3 main pass catchers. You're in damn good shape. The only problem is depth. There isn't really the rest of the room is mostly like undrafted practice squad dudes that are there to fit a very specific role. Like, okay, you're a speedster. Okay, you're 6'5". If one of our guys, God forbid, knock on wood, goes down, there's not really one guy that's like, okay, you can play this role, just not as well.
Yeah, that's we're one injury away, and it doesn't have to be Devontae Adams, but we're one injury away from having a pretty below average wide receiver room. Because then you have like Dorsett, Cole, Sims, like those guys are
just 30-year-olds that are kind of whatever, a bunch of undrafted dudes,
expensive guys that you know, if a undrafted rookie comes in here and plays semi good, he's going to take all their snaps.
Yeah.
So
number 11, running back. One, we've got arguably the best running back in football coming back. Hopefully, hopefully not a tag in a trade, or maybe it is. We'll see. And also, does any team need more than 6 running backs? We have 5 running backs and a fullback. I don't think any team's more than that. The only issue here is no other running backs really played any meaningful roles. Like, some guys were signed and did squat. Some guys were drafted, stayed on the team, never saw any touches, right? Now, is that just because Josh Jacobs was amazing and we're just feeding him? Or is it because none of those guys earned it in practice and didn't have faith? Time will tell. Number 10, offensive tackle. Colt Miller's a rock. You want a rock and left tackle. Illuminor at right tackles. I feel like it's his job to lose, more or less. The 2 best positions of generally the worst unit on offense is the tackles. Center, Andre James, solid for now. He'll be our guy. But we need depth. Don't have a lot of depth there. Number 8, guard. Alex Bars was our weak link at guard last season. And Parham is likely headed to center at some point. That's still kind of the goal. And again, there's no great players on that line really outside of Colton Miller. It's just when they improved, it's because they improved as a unit, not just really as guys. And so you always want to make sure you're adding depth there. Number 7, defensive end. And that's with Max Crosby as one of the best players in football and the best defender on our team. Chandler Jones is staying for at least 1 more season, maybe 2 because of how his contract's built. And Malcolm Kuntz not really developing as we'd hoped. Flashes here and there. And defensive end's really, really important. So even with like a huge chunk of our defensive cap space on defensive end, we still need help at defensive end. Great.
Yeah.
Number 6, tight end. What was arguably our best room for a couple seasons. Now one of our worst offensive rooms. Austin Hooper, OJ Howard are cheap 1-year deals. Just plug and fit them in. If they play like they playing recently, they're going to be terrible. If there's a chance that they can flash what they've been able to do, then we might be, all right. The only reason this isn't higher on the list is because the rest of our skill position players can kind of tight end isn't as crucial for us as it is other teams because our running backs and wide receivers are so good. Back to defense, safety. Merrick regressed in his second year. He showed so much promise his rookie year, and he's basically the only thing close to like a real starter. Like, he's the only guy that would start on a decent defense because our defense is so bad. Guys start. Number 4, quarterback. Even though we've got Jimmy G, I mean, he's basically, let's be honest, he's a placeholder. Probably here 2 years on the contract, maybe 1 year if whoever we get is fantastic, and we'll bite that dead cap money in number 2. And he always gets hurt, right? He's played 1 full season. And also just comes down to, if you don't have a franchise quarterback, you are looking for a franchise quarterback. It's the most important position in sports. Even with Jimmy G, it's still number 4 most important need. Number 3 in the core of the defense, linebacker. Spillane and Masterson cast off backups, while Divine Deablo, again, he's shown flashes but hasn't developed as much as we'd hoped. Number 2, defensive tackle was atrocious for us this season. Andrew Billings was by far the best defensive tackle, and even then, Nick Ziegler's like, "You can bounce. We're not even going to pay you $1 million. Like, you can go." Farrell and Matthew Butler drafted, but they couldn't get really any meaningful playing time on a terrible D line. Like, if it was a really good D line, you draft those guys later in the draft, you're like, "Oh, let them develop," but they couldn't even get on the field with them playing this terrible. And number 1, cornerback, Nate Hobbs. Again, another guy, another second-year player. Looked great in his rookie year. Thought, "Oh, this is the man." Regressed a little bit this season. He should be in the slot anyway. That's where he does his best work. The only reason he's on the outside is because we desperately need corners. We literally need 2 starting corners. Like we need 2 starting outside cornerbacks. We have some decent depth, which you need for DBs, but we're literally short 2 starters at cornerback. That's our list, 14-1.